Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Straight Talk for the Soul series. I'm Carrie Murphy, your host, and the creator and founder of this global broadcast and community. Thank you very much for the gift of your time and presence today. We invite you to subscribe for free to this series if you haven't already at straighttalkforthesoul.com. You can also find us on iTunes and YouTube, in our Facebook group, and on Instagram. Just enter Straight Talk for the Soul to find us. And then continue to spread the word to those you feel would resonate with this information. There are a lot of us who have come to assist with raising consciousness here on planet Earth, and I would say that if you're here today, that you are one of those souls. But there are a lot of people out there who feel a bit different or isolated or just need support and a sense of community. So let's invite them in so that we can all assist one another on our journeys here. From my perspective, and I've been writing and speaking to audiences about the soul for over 25 years now. I feel that our souls have stories, universal ones, galactic ones, where we've been and what we're here to do. It contains all of that in our soul. And this show is dedicated to supporting all of us in awakening to the expansive nature of who we are so we can ignite the light of love, not only in our hearts, but in our lives. And not only for our personal evolution, but for the evolution of our species. So it's a gift that you are here, and I just want to thank you for that. Because if you're drawn to this information that supports higher awareness and higher levels of consciousness and energy that supports healing and expansion on a soul level, it's a brilliant, beautiful thing. So you're going to be very, very grateful that you're here today. My beautiful co-creative partner is Adria Estribou. And according to Adria, the time of leaving the third dimension is really new, and the time of choosing is still open to those who are undecided. So what does it mean to survive and thrive in a completely new now? And what does fifth dimensional reality look like and feel like and act like? And why are we here in this new realm of existence, and what are the new rules of operation? Well, Adria is going to channel the angels today. She often channels Archangels Gabriel and Raphael, so we'll see who comes through today. They'll probably be speaking about thriving in this new age, and we're going to discuss how or why we chose to be embodied as a soul in this plane of existence at this time. You're also going to experience shamanic sound through Adria, and again, a live channeled message from the Archangels. And you are welcome to call in with your questions for the angels. You can press *2 to raise your hand if you've called in and joined us by phone live today. So as I mentioned, my partner today is Adria Wind Horse Estribou. She is a conscious channel of angels and beings in other dimensional realms, such as the Lemurians, the Andromedans, personal guides, and spirit animals. Adria is a sound shaman. She channels past lifetimes and universal sounds to shift stuck energies. She's a graduate of Jonathan Goldman's Healing Sounds Intensive Training. She is also a medium and an animal communicator, and she's also the author of 2 books, Why Did Lemuria Fall? And Slip Through the Keyhole. She is a regular contributor to the Sedona Journal of Emergence, and she lives in Hawaii, and she works with one-on-one clients around the world. And for me, it's always exciting to welcome a new speaker to this community, so please join me in extending so many waves of love and light and appreciation to Adria as I welcome her to the show for the first time. So Adria, welcome, beautiful.
Thank you. I feel all those, the waves of love and welcome. Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, I was drawn to you, Adria. I always ask my team of light, to guide me or to the speakers that I will connect with and that the community will connect with. And I don't remember how exactly it happened, but I'm grateful that you're here. Very grateful.
Thank you so much. I felt you were speaking about the energy of the community, and during your introduction, I just felt that. Oh, it's so beautiful, all of the collected energies here. I was on a walk yesterday, and I found this crystal. It looked kind of like a geode with all these tiny, tiny points crystalline points, and I felt like, oh, that's why I found that yesterday, because today the energy feels like that, like we're all these points of light gathered close together. It's so sweet and so strong, very nice vibration. So thank you to all of the listeners for being
Aren't they awesome?
With us.
Can you? Yeah. I'm so grateful I get to play in this energy every day. This community, Adria, is absolutely beautiful, and so you fit right in, and so let's dive in and talk about you. I want to really introduce you to this community. Some people may be familiar with you, Adria, others may not. So let's talk about your journey a little bit. I know you live in Hawaii now. When did you realize that you could channel and that you had this connection with the angels?
That is more recent, I would say, about 3 years ago. I started with channeling sound, wordless sounds, for about 7 years, and then I started feeling this sort of pressure, like messages wanted to come through, which I honestly resisted for a long time. But finally, some friends really coaxed that out of me, and I was so grateful because as the messages come through, they're so beautiful and transformative for me too. I learned so much, so I just felt like, I can't hold this back anymore. It's too sacred. This needs to be shared.
But you've been on sort of a sacred journey for many years. At least that's what I feel like I know about you.
Yes.
Right?
I was a teenager when I first, in this lifetime, when I discovered meditation, and it was like, wow, discovering what love was and finding it in the same moment. I hadn't known that I was looking for something, but when I found meditation, it was just, my world exploded, and so I quickly rearranged my life to follow that. Lived in ashrams for a while, and still meditate every day. And yeah, that's what started all this, I would say, doing that inner work, finding the inner landscape, clearing out the old stuff, finding the light within and how that's reflected in the world around me. So that journey, yeah, it started definitely before the channeling journey itself.
Wow. So was your family, were they spiritual, or was it just something you were led to on your own? They
were seekers, I would say, interested, curious about other paths. I was born in the 70s, so there was a lot of open-mindedness then. As there is now, I think we're in another one of those times on Earth that suddenly occurs to me. But there was so much of that beautiful open-mindedness and seeking. So I think I was 3 years old when I met the first spiritual teacher from an Indian tradition, because they had brought me to some group gathering. So I think my introduction to that world came through them.
Wow. Well, your serenity is evident. I can I feel very, very calm in your presence, Adria.
That's my calling card.
Exactly. I love it. So you've clearly been like an open channel for this sacred energy for many years, but so as you mentioned, you kind of opened up to connecting with the angels more recently in your life, or in the last few years. But how do you describe being a channel, Adria? You know, different people describe it differently. I know for you, you consider yourself a conscious channel. So describe this process for you.
For me, it's so natural what happens. It's very hard to describe, or I wish I could teach people how, but I feel like it's like breathing. I know it's happening, but I don't know how it happens. It's this beautiful mystery because as a kid, and probably less so now, I was very, very intellectual. And so everything that I learned how to do in this world, I know how I had learned how to do it. And it was through study, and I was an excellent student and went on to get a master's degree and all that. So I knew how things work. You learn how to do something and then you excel at it and you get better over time. And channeling is not that way at all. The same with the sound. It's just, yes, it's the best I can do, the best channel I can be is when I get out of the way. So try to keep any of my thoughts, emotions, judgments, opinions about what the answer might be just way off to the side and let the words come through. And it's been such a blessing. I also feel the quality of whatever being I'm channeling. And I'm not sure if that's because I'm empathic or if that happens for other channels. It's one reason why I'm really careful about what beings I channel. So with the angels, I feel their light and their sense. They communicate most often. Sometimes they're a little forceful, but most often it's this energy of, wow, this exact moment is exactly how it's supposed to be, and I called this into being, and I could see now why these threads of story are happening or challenges, and that beautiful sense of peace and acceptance with what is. So as those words are coming through for people, I feel that too. So it is quite pleasurable to channel.
I
also.
would imagine.
Yeah.
Do you have imagery or just visions of these beings as you are channeling them, or is it just more of a feeling, or what's it like for you?
Not very often. Occasionally I do. For me, it's more auditory. So it's words and sounds, but I will sometimes now I'm starting to get visual metaphors. So I'll kind of see the picture of something as another way of conceptually describing what's going on. So I do get a little bit of a visual sense, but not so clearly. I wouldn't say that's one of my strengths.
Right. Well, you have many of them with the sounds, and I want to talk about the sounds. But before that, I want to talk about your understanding. I mean, you wrote a book about Lemuria, and you live in Hawaii. Probably no accident there. When did you move to Hawaii, and was it because of your connection with Lemuria?
I think it was. I've been here about 18 years, and there's a particular place on this island. I'm on Oahu, and for years until very recently, just standing there, I just felt like, oh, I'm home. And I could point to, a place a little out in the ocean, like that was my home. And it just felt so much like I needed to be here for that reason. So, yeah, I do think there's a strong Lemurian connection here.
What was the overall message in that book, the one about Lemuria?
My understanding is the Lemurians see in us and humanity right now some similarities in their journey in maybe as we're coming into, as things get easier and easier to manifest and things like that, that they wanted in this first book, and I think there'll be more, to give a note of caution, not to get caught up in that. Just the joy of manifestation. Remember, the whole point of this was to become brighter as a soul, and so not to get caught up in some of those traps. So they really lay out energetically what happened for them as a collective, why that civilization fell. Not the technical reasons, but the core reasons behind it, so that we could look at that in ourselves as we grow here into light and not do the same thing. That's the sense I got. And there's also some really specific practical guidance, I would say. What's the nature of enlightenment and different stages of it? How can you interact with conscious crystal beings?
Yeah.
So different practical tools like that too. And there's some transmissions of energy through the words of the book also.
Beautiful. So are there parallels to what we're going through now with regard to what the Lemurians went through?
That's what they're saying, is that as we grow into these really conscious manifesting beings, and really to hold the awareness that we each have full abundance, unlimited abundance. So that's one of the themes of the book. And in that, so there's no need to take from any other being or from the planet herself, because you already have full abundance. So that would be a big misunderstanding, to try to feel like someone else needs to be less than in order for you to be full and abundant. So that's one of the big themes of the book, is be careful. Look at anywhere in yourself where you feel like a sense of poverty or lack that makes you want to hoard or take from another, or feel like you've got to amass wealth for generations of your family only, and other people will just be on their own.
Right.
So instead, wait a minute, we have full abundance. So yeah, have all those things, but don't take from someone else to make that happen for you.
Yeah, I agree. Love that. And I can't help but think you must have a connection with the dolphins, right?
I do. Oh my gosh, I love dolphins.
Me
They're
too.
so joyful. Anytime I've been in the water, in the ocean near them, I just start giggling because they're just so joyful.
You have a great giggle too, by the way. And yeah, I feel the dolphins here with us too. There's a lot of energy with us here today. What do you feel, Adria?
Boy, what that brings to mind with the dolphins, one of the things I learned as I started to channel sound, because I really wondered, well, what the heck is this and where is it coming from, is that in several lifetimes I've played this role of some kind of shaman that uses sound. And one of those lifetimes, I was told, and it resonates with me, was on one of the Syrian planets, and I was a sort of mermaid kind of creature using sound to sing to whales. And I heard that, I was like, oh, energetically that makes so much sense, because I'm so in love with dolphins and whales for no apparent reason. I haven't spent a lot of time with them in this lifetime, but I wouldn't be surprised then if their energy is here on this call, because one thing I'm learning that all of us are coming into is this ability, like time is becoming less and less of a barrier. So we have access to these different lifetimes, not just as a memory or something to reason to undo an old trauma, but we can actually tap into ourselves in other lifetimes. And so those energies are with us. We can use those positive energies that we learned in other times, other places.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. It is not just about the traumatic experiences, but the beauty and the wonder and all of that. And so that leads me to ask you, I know that when you're working with people, you channel their, quote, past lifetimes, which are really parallel, but what is, from your perspective, the purpose of that, and how is that helpful and beneficial to the people that you work with when you're channeling other lifetimes? Is it to bring in some of these gifts and abilities, or is it for healing, or a combination?
With the shamanic sound, what I've noticed is that physically, sometimes we carry the trauma memory. Usually it's from a death moment in some other life, but some really traumatic event in another lifetime. Sometimes we carry that with us in this one. So there might be no medical reason why you always have a pain in your neck, but you were hung in a past lifetime, something like that, where I've felt that when the sounds start coming through, often images or senses of a past life, and some trauma will emerge to be cleared out, the sound shifts that energy, and then the body doesn't need to hold on to that, carry around that memory anymore. Very similar to, they say how moments where the adrenaline is high in this lifetime, those memories really stick, right? So it's the same, I think. We had some big traumas in other lifetimes, and sometimes the body remembers that, and we can't figure it out medically, but a lot of times that's the reason. And from the angelic perspective, I would say, sometimes when we're facing a challenge in our life right now, the angels can offer that lens of, well, you know, this person who's your sister, you had a past life, and you chose to come in together in this lifetime for this particular reason, to work through some particular energies. And of course, it would be more specific for each person there. But I find that energy about past lifetimes comes in with the angels more to do with, why did you call into being this circumstance, and who are the characters here? And there might be some reasons why that you can't see from the logical mind, why things are playing out the way they are. Sorry, I'm stuck on that word character. I use that word sometimes just to think of us as characters in a play here, that you kind of knew more like an ad lib, you kind of knew the main events that were going to happen here in your lifetime before you came in, and you agreed on who the main characters were going to be here. So I don't mean that in any derogatory way. I just mean who else are playing here.
I understand. How fun, though, to do what you do. And when you ask, I guess because you are a conscious channel, you remember and you're fully present when it comes to your sessions. And so you, I would imagine, would really benefit from just all of the energies. So that has to be beautiful.
I do, the energies and the knowledge also. So particularly in group calls like this, or group in-person sessions, I learn so much because the questions that come up are different than the ones that I've been asking the angels. So I get, it just opens up whole new areas of knowledge for me personally. But yes, the energy is very high also.
So have you noticed general themes with the angel messages more recently? Have they changed, or what are they about mostly these days? In the last year or so, one of the reasons why I've been wanting to be more public with sharing these messages is it's a lot about freedom. From the angelic perspective, a huge shift happened on our planet. And in shorthand, and they might talk more about some aspects of this today, we really had been enslaved almost from the beginning of humankind. And now we're free. So that's the one sentence version of what the angels have been saying. So we're not all aware of it yet, but we've come into this time of freedom that's just, I just feel like singing it from the rooftops, because as I realize it more and more, and as they say this more and more in different ways, it's pretty extraordinary to realize, things are not, they might look the same. You might have the same job, the same house, the same cast of characters around you, but things are not the same, and it's pretty extraordinary. So what do they attribute this to? I mean, do they attribute it to a particular time or a date, or what do they say about that?
That I think I would let them speak to see if there's something on this call they wanted to share. It's not so much... So angels, one caveat I'll say is I think they have a different relationship with time. So whereas if you consult a psychic and they're very specific about times and dates and events that are going to unfold, for the angels I've found, if they say 3 months, they mean, well, not today and not 2 lifetimes from now and probably not 10 years from now, but like pretty soon.
Right. But do they mean this lifetime that we're all living, or is it this era of time? Is that what in terms of
that's the
freedom?
sense I get from my feeling of time. I feel like it's within this past year that something very, very big and monumental has shifted. And I think we could leave that as a question for them about, is it still shifting? What happened?
Yes. Yeah, it's going to be fun because we are going to have this channeling with the angels in a little bit, and after that we will take callers. But talk to us a little bit about the shamanic sound, because this is something that you're really focused on, and you did some training, I believe, with this, but tell us a little bit about that and explain, what it's all about.
Yeah, shamanic sound for me is very, very similar to messages from angels or other beings in that it's not scripted and it's not learned. It just comes through my voice, and I've come to understand that parts of it are from these other lifetimes, but I also believe it's what I would call, now here's my very loose terminology, please don't take me literally on this, but more planetary sounds or universal cosmic sounds. So I hear the sound as very circular. If you listen to crystal bowls or flute, it has a sort of, the sound seems to come back in a circle, and the sounds that come through my voice to me sound like that. If you listen to recordings of the planets from NASA, they also have a similar circular sound to them. So I don't know what that is, why that pattern repeats in sound. But I hear that in my voice. Also, sometimes animals come through.
Beautiful.
And yeah, I did set out to study sound healing, but what comes through is not anything I've learned. It just happens.
Right. And I'd love for you to share some of that with us. I know in one of your packages you do have the CD called "The Sounds of the Ancient Ones." What was that? What is that exactly?
That was my way of trying to put a label on those energies, that cosmic sound, but also the energy does feel very ancient to me, like this old wisdom, and so that's about 20 minutes of this circular kind of sound through my voice. And so if you wanted to have that immersion experience at home of meditative sound healing, and the idea there is to shake loose anything that's stuck in us. Could be physical, could be energetic, and yeah, I'd be happy to dive into when you think it's the right moment here on the call to do a few minutes.
I would love that.
For this
it feels
group.
like the right moment.
Great.
Any moment would be beautiful for that, but if it feels comfortable for you, I think that would be wonderful.
Oh, wonderful. So I'll just be silent for a moment here and see what sounds come through for the group energy. And that felt like what wanted to come through for today, at least for this moment.
It's it's interesting how for those, I know most of the people on a call like this, Adria, are familiar with sound healing, and and all of that. But for those who might be new to it, it's really a matter of setting the intellect aside to allow the sound to really clear. How would you describe how that works, Adria? I think you kind of briefly mentioned that before you went into it. It's kind of clearing internal blocks. But if someone's wondering, how does that happen? I guess that's being in the intellect right there, even asking the question. But
yeah, it's so hard to put words on it. It's funny,
really
I struggled with this for years, because even though I had been a writer before, when it comes to this, it goes to the other, side of the brain that doesn't have language. It has very different spatial relationships. So the sound itself is not limited by time and space, which is why I can kind of go in and clear out past lifetime stuff and maybe go into the future. I'm not sure. I feel it more in the past and the present. But if you've seen, you can probably do any Google search on sound and water on YouTube or something like that. You can see our bodies are mostly made up of water. And when you see how water dances with sound or makes these gorgeous geometric shapes, it's pretty far out to witness that. And so when we're listening to sound, the same thing's happening in the cells of our body. So just in a very physical way, sound shifts us. It's pretty tremendous.
It is, and so many of the beautiful beings who come on this show and join me, like yourself. I mean, it just feels like sound healing is really the wave of the future with regard to clearing the physical body and just the emotions and so many, and it's the easiest way, because we really don't have to do anything. We just really have to get out of the way and just stay open. It's such a beautiful thing. And do the angels talk about that, or is, like, when you bring through that sound healing, the shamanic sound healing, is that unique and different from what comes through with the angels and the archangels?
It's different in the sense that it's other beings coming through, I would say, for the most part. Sometimes angel, but I'm more aware of animal or goddess energies usually during sound healing. It's similar because it's that same sort of open door there in the throat channel for me. So it is sound flowing through for the purpose of upliftment, but it's not specifically angels. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's angelic sound. I didn't feel that today in those few moments of sound. Yeah.
So let's talk more about the archangels. From what I know about your channeling, there are, I think you channel Archangel Gabriel quite often, and so it sounds like you have a special relationship with some of them.
Yes. I think this would be interesting to some of your listeners, because I'm sure that many of them are channels or seeking within themselves for guidance from their own angels or angels collectively. It wasn't an accident, but it took me and my slow brain a little while to figure this out. But because channeling is such an open door, can be, I had some beings that came through that I wasn't so pleased about some years ago, and so that I kind of shut things down for a while. So, okay, well, I got to learn some modes of screening and protection here. So there's a prayer that I say before I channel that calls on for archangels. And so I say that every time before I channel, even if I'm going to just ask a question for myself at home. And so I started and then I would see, well, who wants to come through, and it was these angels, and it kept being Angel Gabriel, Angel Raphael over and over again, and then it took me a while to realize, and all of a sudden I went, oh my goodness, I'm saying this prayer to call in these 4 archangels, and of course, guess who shows up to speak?
Right.
I was kind of dense about
they
that.
Heard
I didn't get the connection for a little while, but yeah, so that's how that came into being. And I'm so comfortable with the angels. I feel like I know what their agenda is. I know their energy. So I do channel other beings, but not in a big public setting like this. Right. And I'm just very, very cautious about channeling other beings. But the angels are just, so sweet and so protective, and they're also so sweet to be there when I'm channeling other beings, just to, kind of double check with them. Okay, this being says it's Lemurian. Is that who's really speaking right now? And check with them. It's just very, it's turned into be a sweet relationship over time.
Yeah, I can feel that. So I would love for you to do the channeling with us. So are you going to say that prayer out loud with us? I'm feeling like some of the people listening might want to hear it if you're open to sharing that prayer, because maybe it would help them if they want to connect with the archangels.
That I did before we started the call. Okay. It's not feeling appropriate to share the whole prayer, but I will share some elements of it. I know one element is light, so calling in white light. So maybe anyone listening right now wants to do that. Just call in your own and divine white light to be surrounding and protecting you, so that the voices you hear are filtered through that light, and only those messages that are for your highest good come through. So I think on the listening perspective, you can have that filter also. What do I really need to hear right now? Mm-hmm. And that might help you just in daily life to turn away from a TV show or news story that's not going to be helpful for your energy right now. And the other element is calling in those 4 archangels, Raphael, Gabriel, Michael, and Uriel. So typically Raphael speaks the most, but we'll see. We'll see today.
I love your laugh, Adria. It's beautiful. It's very angelic. Okay, so do you feel like this is an appropriate time to go ahead and start with the channeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling like there might be one thing. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to share about. Yeah, so one other element about protection prayers, or if you're having a dialogue with any being, is to ask, is this for my highest good? So that's another filter there, is to ask whatever energies that are coming toward you in your life, that it be for your highest good. And if you're service-minded, it could be that it also be for the highest good of humanity or those around you. So I will ask that out loud here now, that whatever messages come through, may I be a clear and open channel for angelic voices, blessings, messages, and light on this call, that only the pure, sweet messages of the angels come through, and only those voices and words that are for the highest good of everyone on the call and everyone who might hear this later.
Beautiful.
This is Raphael, Angel Raphael. We would like to speak to you today about freedom. This has been mentioned, alluded to here on the call, and we would like to explain what we mean from angelic perspective. You are free. Humankind is free now, yes. And what does this mean? For you were not aware, many of you, that there were any chains upon you. So what does it mean to be free when you were not aware of being in prison at all? And humanity at this moment, we would say, is a little bit like the door has been flung open to the jail cell. But many of you are still sitting on the bench there because you are not aware that you can just walk out the door now. Having tried over lifetimes, rattled the bars, sung out for help, and so forth, called in your own light, tried to saw open the bars and nothing was working. And so perhaps you forgot to look and notice that now the door is wide open and all you need to do is of your own free will step out of the scenario you were entrapped in for so long. So much of the freedom on this planet has to do now with the free will. What do you in this moment choose to make of your life? You are no longer stuck in a paradigm that was true 20 years ago or 2 lifetimes ago or 20 lifetimes ago. You are no longer stuck in the mental paradigm that you hold for yourself in this moment. So you might have a belief system about what is possible in this lifetime for you, based on the logical experience of what you have lived so far, experienced so far. Remember from your childhood and so on. This is just the way the world works. This is what the mind says. The angels say to you, in this moment, you are free. You can make of this life anything you want. Anything you want. Metaphorically speaking, if you thought you could only crawl or perhaps walk occasionally, we tell you, you can fly now. Okay, that wasn't true last year. We understand you have tried so many times and come against that wall and hit your head so many times that you became discouraged and didn't want to try any longer. We understand this. We feel what it has felt like to be humanity for all of these millennia. But we tell you it is so new now. The door is wide open. And it does not even take effort on your part. It just takes the conscious awareness, the conscious choosing to step out of that old paradigm. So what you make of this lifetime now is completely up to you, and it does not need to be the same choice as your neighbor makes. Your neighbor might decide to stay in that cell because it is so comfortable and it is the only thing that they and generations of their family have known. That is all right, because it is their free will to choose it. But we want to bring to your awareness that you do have this choice now, where it felt so impossible before. In fact, there were great barriers before. As the Lemurians have said through this channel, it used to be that only a few beings became enlightened. You know of the Buddha, for example, and it seemed it was so hard that perhaps we did not aspire to it for ourselves, because only a few beings in each some thousands of years would become enlightened. But look at the light they shine even now, what the light that the Buddha shines onto your life now. So imagine now from our perspective what we can see. Humanity is waking up one by one, two by two. In every minute and hour here on this planet, people are becoming enlightened, fully enlightened. So surrounding you now is this wave of enlightenment. It is not limited. Perhaps it was in the past, perhaps not, but our belief systems held us there, that it was only a few who could become enlightened. Now it is open to all. It is truly open to all. You do not need to think you need this qualification of having meditated for 30 years. You do not need to have this qualification of being Buddhist or Christian or any other label. What is needed is the conscious choice to be free, to step into the freedom that is yours now. It is yours if you want it, but it will not be forced upon you. It has to be chosen. So this is Adria. I think this is a pause here if there are questions about that or anything else.
That was beautiful. I was taking some notes as you were talking. It was such a sweet message of empowerment with regard to no matter how we felt or how many times we've fallen before, that we can fly now. And I like that he shared that there were no labels needed or requirements needed. Beautiful energy from Gabriel, Adria. And
that was Raphael. Just in case.
It was. Okay.
Yeah, that one was Raphael.
Okay.
I think so, unless I blanked out when it was.
It was.
Just double checked.
It was lovely. What do you feel with regard to callers, Adria? Do you want to take callers during this time, or do you want to wait, or what feels appropriate?
Let's jump right into callers, because I think some people have specific questions and some people might have more general global questions, and we can go either way.
Okay. All right. Let's do that. For those of you who've called in, press star 2 to raise your hand. We have many, many hands up. Okay. Okay. Everybody wants to talk to the angels. All right. I'm going to area code.
With the hands up in the air. We're all swaying with the angel energy here.
Yes.
So don't be impatient if your hand doesn't get called on. We're all going to get sung to here.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you for saying that. All right. I'm going to area code 480. 480.
Yes, hi. My name is Jennifer. How are you?
Hi, Jennifer.
Hello,
wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking my call. I really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome, honey.
Is really appropriate for me. I really, really love that topic, and it's something that I've been kind of expressing a deep desire for in my life, for sure. But my question is a little bit specific. I kind of would like to know what you would perhaps see, because if there are any blocks that I am experiencing to kind of moving forward. I think that's my question.
Yes,
into that space, because I feel that I've maybe perhaps done that with myself a little bit, and it may be related to fear of kind of stepping into my power and into alignment with my divine life purpose. Yeah.
Okay, Jennifer.
Yes, this is Raphael. So there is a subtle shift in understanding here, which will help. From our perspective, there is no block here, but a subtle shift in understanding can help you feel that your energy can zoom forward. You are a little focused outward right now. What is happening on the planet? What will my role look like as I embody this power and step out into it? We would like you to focus a little more inward in these coming days, just for a little while. See what your inner light is telling you. So the outer light right now is a little confused. It is full of a lot of discharging energies, so that is a very positive thing. And yet it looks a little bit like trash, debris flying through the air as it exits our fields of awareness. So if you are to focus outward right now, it can be a little disturbing, like flying through a meteor field. So we would like you instead to focus a bit inward in these coming days. To follow this metaphor, if you were moving through a meteor field, look inward and see that bright light is actually coming from yourself. You are the star in this metaphor, and also quite literally, you carry that star energy. So look within yourself at your own light, and not so much outside. Try not to be distracted by the debris floating around right now. That is not your calling, and it will clear of its own accord. You are not being called right now to clear the meteor field. This debris that is lifting off of humanity and other beings on the planet right now is already lifting off. It does not require your heavy lifting. So turn your energies instead to your own light and see what that shows you now.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Jennifer.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
And it was a perfect question, Jennifer, because about 30 people asked something similar in the webcast. So about feeling blocked, and so thank you for that. I hope that was helpful.
It was. Thank you both very, very much.
You're welcome, Jennifer. Blessings.
Blessings to you.
Yeah. For people who are empathic right now, or sensitive in other ways, there's so much happening. There's so much clearing right now. I experience that with myself, certainly personally, but when I go out, I sometimes I feel it so intensely, I just want to stay in for a day or two.
Yes.
So I like that just pointer to us. Just because it's so thick right now with clearing energy doesn't mean that we're being called on as light workers or other beings of light to clear it. Do your own and know that it's actually really positive that things are clearing right now. It doesn't mean the sky is darkened and we better all try harder to clear the debris field. No, it means, wow, a lot of stuff is lifting off right now. So use that energy to go in and clear your own while it's so easy. The clearing energy is so strong right now. And don't worry so much about the world. It's actually in a really, really good place. It just doesn't look like it.
I love you. You're great. Okay. All right. Let me see. Okay, which hand am I going to now? And the hands keep going up. All right. I'm going to area code 925. 925.
Oh, hi. This is Demetria.
Hi, Demetria. Welcome, and how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Wonderful. What is your question?
Okay, well, freedom was definitely a huge part of where I'm at right now, and I guess, obviously, a question that you get very often having to do with prosperity, financial prosperity.
So your question is how to get some?
how to generate. So okay, that's thank you for because the main question is what I'm coming up to terms with, is having that. There's all the teachings of you just need to be happy and feel good about yourself, and all the you're just going to attract all these positive circumstances, and then kind of, being faced with, okay, you've been in that state for maybe years, and you just kind of watch, your bank account just kind of dwindling away. And so, being able to kind of, what your take on that?
This is Raphael, Angel Raphael. So many of you are experiencing, as you step into new ways of being, we don't like to limit this by label, but as a shorthand, some people call this fifth dimension or other new earth. So in general, let us say, without needing to scientifically understand what is happening, many of you are feeling a shift in energy and different abilities forming within you. At the same time, the old abilities, what you might call three-dimensional abilities of work and money and linear thinking, are sometimes quite challenging now. So it is not truly possible to be in both at the same time. Fifth and third dimension, although you can go back and forth multiple times a day if you like. Right now, the passageway is quite open. So the third dimension has more to do with this realm of what you might call prosperity in a traditional sense, money in the bank account. Fifth dimension has more to do with unlimited prosperity. So If you wanted a car, thinking about that and being amazed how it arrives, instead of going back to third dimension, forming a list, how much money will it take, how many years will I need to work for this, so going step by step, and that sort of hard work, linear thinking is characteristic of third dimension here. So because we are going back and forth now, you find it sometimes useful to hold on to some of that practical ability to function in third dimension, just temporarily for a little while to pay the bills and so forth until you become aware of how the new abundances are going to manifest. So just positive thinking is not what we would recommend at this time for manifesting. But let us come back to this larger idea of freedom, and this can resonate then with most people on the call. What is it that you want? Is what you want a house? Is what you want enlightenment? Is what you want 2 children? And you can have all of these things. We do not mean that you need to choose one or the other. But your role right now is to be very clear about what you want. So your angels, so your own highest self, so your own energies as you move into understanding how to utilize your unlimited abundance. Know what you are calling on the energies for. So this is important to clarify your wishes. Because you are so new in fifth or other dimensional ways of being now, we do not expect you know yet what is the operating system, what is the manual of how this thing works. That is why you have so many galactic beings around right now, and angels and other beings for your highest good to help you figure out how to function in these new realities, higher dimensions you might call them. So in the meantime, what can you do other than feel a little bewildered and afraid because things either don't work at all or they feel completely new and you don't understand how they work? Your role is to be clear about what you want. So prosperity is a little too broad of a word, we would say, a little too old school. So bring in a word that is very new for you, and it can change day to day. The other thing you have with free will is the ability to change your mind. So we are not asking you to say the same mantra, to say the same positive thinking for 20 years in order to bring a house into your awareness. But just to get very clear now, what are your wishes? And then you will find there are so many beings here to help, whether or not you hear their voices as some do, or just feel that little energetic push to turn right instead of left in that moment, to take this job instead of the other one. There are many beings helping you right now. So it will help them to help you if you are just clear in what you want. And again, you are not limited and you can change your mind day to day. But practice this clarity of intention, and then you can be amazed by how magically things seem to arrive instantly, for we are certainly moving into a time without time, a time not limited by the pressures of time.
Okay, Demetria. How did that feel, Demetria?
Yeah, I mean, it was good. Yeah, I mean, just the only thing I got a little confused with prosperity being old school, because prosperity, that word feels like a high vibration to me. Like that just feels, because that's really what I want, is to feel good on all levels right now, you know, like on all dimensions of my being, to feel in harmony.
I think this is Adria. Let me add one note on that. I think the word prosperity for many people, and maybe not for you, is tied in with money. And I feels like, from what I'm hearing, money is on its way out, and not in a bad sense, like, you know, global economic crash or something like that, but that we're learning how to tap in more directly to just what we want appearing, or what we want to be, being that. So we don't need that stepping stone anymore, of prosperity means $20,000 that will allow me to buy that car. So just skip the step, the intermediary step, and go right to the car.
Okay, that helped. That actually just totally cleared it up for me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like, there's still that 3D program playing out of like, okay, wait, I can't really be happy until I do these 20 things first.
Right.
So it's like, it's like reminding me to kind of, like touching back into that space that's already there. What I'm looking for is there right now. Yeah. So.
Yes, and it's much more spontaneous and free-flowing. So we're not locked into what we would have chosen for ourselves 20 years ago, or what we chose for ourselves yesterday. Keep flowing with that energy, and what is prosperity to you now could be very, very different.
Got it. That's so perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Demetria. I love what you brought out. That was perfect.
Thanks.
Blessings of prosperity and unlimited abundance to you,
yes,
Demetria.
Back to you.
For us all. Okay. I love that. Just unlimited abundance in this fifth dimensional living. And we said we would talk about that, Demetria, how, what is it now? It's kind of new for a lot of people, this fifth dimensional living. Is everybody living it, or is it just available to everyone, but only some are choosing it? What are the Archangels' perspective on that?
Yeah, what I've been hearing over and over again, and then we can see if they want to add something too, but basically the time is open now for us to move to the fifth dimension. And some people move there right away and are clinging on, like, oh, heck, don't put me back to third. I'm out of that place and I'm staying in fifth. Mm-hmm. And some people are going back and forth because we are like way showers for others. So as we walk through doorways, as we energetically shift ourselves on a quantum physics level, it allows others, even those who can't physically perceive us, they're not right there next to us, it allows others to see how it's done. So it's like those of us who've been struggling for so many lifetimes to open up these energies in ourselves that can walk easily over to fifth dimension. A lot of us might be choosing to go back and forth quite a lot right now, just so we can keep showing people, hey, it's over here, this is how you get there. Not so much in words, but just in going back and forth ourselves. And then at some point, I think the doors will close, and those two worlds, third and fifth dimension, some people talk about it as two Earths, will kind of drift apart. But for right now, it's very, very open. And
so it sounds like
I'd like to see if it. Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to see if the angels want to add something there, because I feel like I might have added a little confusion with my words, so I'll be quiet. This is Raphael. The confusion is there more, not so much in these words, but in the collective understanding right now. And because it is not a linear one-way street, and that is what we are used to, humanity is used to, this hopping back and forth is a bit confusing to some. Did we make it? Did we not make it? I feel very dense today, and tomorrow, in this moment, I feel so light I can't even think or process a full sentence. So there is a lot of this jumbledness right now as humanity experiments with this new freedom. And as you jump back and forth, it is very, very open. So that is, and yet you don't perceive yet that you have control over how it works. Because control itself is a little bit more of a slavery dynamic, you will probably not feel that way, that it is so much something you have mastered. fifth dimension or other dimensional realities. But you begin to see its hallmarks in your life. Of this instant manifestation is one, of this sense of great freedom and peace is another. So we ask for those of you who have felt that and then felt catapulted back into very dense emotional processing, not to feel frightened by that either. It may be as a soul that you are choosing during this time of great upheaval and clearing, positive upheaval, to root out some other things from other lifetimes or this one while you're here in this moment, because that is what this moment is. It has a lot of turmoil in it. And in that is the potential for this great, great clearing of souls, of so many souls. So please do not be discouraged if you feel like someone told you on this date you were supposed to walk through a portal and you felt like you did, and then the next day you woke up and you felt sad or dense in some way. You did not go backward. This is not a linear journey. It is a wide open playing field, a plane of existence, and your soul is choosing. Because I asked for greater prosperity, for example, I need to clear out some old conditioning around poverty and wealth, so I'm going to spend a few days crying about the lollipop I lost when I was 3. And then, wow, here's the car I wanted. So it works like this. It is very jumbled. So please do not be discouraged. We cannot say this enough times. If you feel like you have missed the boat, or you feel like you got there and then got ejected back to third dimension, this is not the case. It is a very wide open right now, and you're picking and choosing on a soul level to give yourself some experiences, for example, of what is coming, so you can begin to acclimate to it, and then to continue to be in this moment of clearing to make good use of that. For once you are floating in a more stable way in a higher dimension, that ability to clear out so forcefully will not be so accessible as it is now. So it is making use of the moment you are in and not putting conceptual awareness around needing it to look like a blissful, static place, please. You can learn more and grow more as a soul if you flow with these chaotic energies right now.
That was beautiful. That was very clarifying, because I know, Adria, that from what I'm reading in the webcast and just what I feel from the community and even in my own life, I mean, it's not this static, blissful journey where we're in this fifth dimensional state of being every moment of the day. And I think that's kind of relieving to a community like this who are the way showers, and you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, I'm not doing it right, or why did I feel like I was here and then I'm bounced back and I'm feeling heavy and I'm crying, and what am I doing wrong? And it sounds like from that beautiful message from Raphael that there's nothing wrong, and that that's part of it.
Yeah, take advantage of the clearing. I love that. I definitely went through that personally as last year, as we went through, all the energies were going higher, 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 and then all of a sudden I was like, what happened? Did I fall off the path?
Did I fall off? Yeah.
I was feeling more and more blissful and calm, and then all of a sudden, what's this? You know, just started clearing through childhood stuff, past life stuff, and so yeah, I'm grateful for that message too. Okay, we'll keep clearing while it's available.
Yeah, and you know, him sharing that it's not a linear journey is really important for all of us to remember. And this I love, at some point he said, this is an experiment with freedom to live in the fifth dimension. And this experiment, I mean, it's available at any time, but it's not static. What beautiful messages. You know, a lot of people, Adria, have written in about feeling, a lot of messages about fear and a lot of messages about feeling isolated. What can whoever wants to come forth, or you, Adria, share with regard to isolation and fear?
Yeah, but I'll just share before the message comes through. I've been feeling those two things really strongly myself. That's why I was laughing. I'm like, oh, sometimes I don't know. Am I just feeling everyone's energy, mine? But yeah, I think you're not alone. If you're feeling isolated and afraid right now, I'd say that's in the air. Yeah. So I'll be quiet and see what the message is about that. This is Raphael. There is a piece of disorientation that comes from freedom. So when you have been chained into a system of, let us say, the opposite of freedom, where you did not have free will to make choices, things hummed along a little bit more like a machine. There was a sense that you knew your place in the world. You were part of a greater something humming along. And everything worked. You knew the rules of how everything worked. So let's contrast that with being suddenly free. We can use this metaphor of a prisoner, again, who is let out of jail, standing in front of the prison gates, now wondering, okay, now what? I used to have all this structure. I knew what happened at 3 a.m. bed check, 7 a.m. breakfast, and 10 a.m. exercise. What do I do now? It's just somewhat, it does provoke fear because we used to know what to do. And now we feel lost. We feel we know how to follow rules. We know how to follow a dharma, a set of ethical principles. We know how to strive towards things, but this place we are in now doesn't seem to have to do with rules or linear thinking or striving at all. So it is quite unnerving. That is something that perhaps you did not foresee coming into this, and is one of the reasons why there are so many guides around you on the planet right now. More guides than in the past. Why would you need them more now that you are free? Because it is so unnerving and the path looks so different. In fact, there is no path. You're being told you can fly anywhere you like, but you didn't know before yesterday you had wings, so it's all very confusing. Yes. We want to honor and respect that, yes, the fear is there. You do not need to shove it down. You can just acknowledge it is there, welcome it as a beautiful friend, as part of this lovely chaotic moment that you are in. It is not going to bind you to anything. It is a natural experience that comes up as a result of being in something so new. You might have found in your life many times before, when something was new, it was scary. And even if it was something you wanted, it provoked this anxiety. Just as a new job, the first day at school, there was some fear associated with it and a lot of expectation about how it would be. So let us speak also about this loneliness. When we were connected, when humankind was connected in a sort of enslavement mechanism, it was a collective working according to a set of principles and enslavement rules. So we don't like to speak of this too much now to get so heavy with it, because now you are free. But to understand that there was this sense of being part of something there. So when you are set free from the machine workings of that kind of collective, you feel perhaps unmoored. You feel you are alone, drifting along in space. So that feeling, let us reflect on that for you, is not so much that you are now alone, but that you are untethered, unhooked from those things that were keeping you bound to a certain set of conditioning. So it is, again, uncomfortable to get used to. So if you reflect for a moment that on this call there are how many thousands of beings, at this moment, and perhaps not just now that angels are speaking, but 5 minutes ago, that we're feeling fear. So certainly, logically, then, you cannot be alone if you are one of thousands feeling fear right now. If you are one of thousands, and here we mean light workers and very conscious beings, one of thousands feeling very lost and afraid. And so we just want to say to you, it is all right. It is all right to feel this fear. It is quite natural because you are in something very, very new. So do not let the fear itself make you think you have lost your way as a light worker, as a shower of light to others. It just means we are in something so new, and the confusion comes because the logical mind says, I'm in the same house, I'm in the same job, I have the same friends, why do I feel so different? So it is, again, this fear and sense of isolation in a way are good hallmarks to you to say you are in a different time now, and something in you knows this very deeply and is reacting, responding to the newness, and is feeling fear that is quite natural. So know there are so many of us that can be called on. You are not alone in this. There are many, many multitudes of guides here on the planet right now for the specific purpose of helping you through this fear, of helping you through this journey. They are with you right now.
Beautiful message. And it's a beautiful response to quite a few people who wrote in asking just that. Who do I call on for support? And it sounds like there's plenty of support out there with the angels, with the archangels, or whomever. You know what I loved that Raphael just shared was this perspective that if we're feeling fear or isolation or loneliness, that it's actually a hallmark of this different new time that we're in. And that's a really new way to look at that. Instead of looking at it as though we're lost and we've lost our way, if we feel fear or isolation, that it's actually a hallmark of that we're in a new space and a new place. And how beautiful, right? I loved that.
I hadn't heard that before, and I was thinking about that first day of school. And it's so interesting, such a human thing that we do, that we think we're the only one who feels like we're the new kid, we don't know what to do. Like, I guess we're all here on the first day of school, so you're not alone in feeling
right.
that.
Exactly. It's kind of like,
and lost and self-conscious.
Yes. Well, and I find that to be true even with the speakers who come on this show. You know, all the listeners may think that the speakers all have it together, and they're nervous too, or they have, you know what I mean? We all have the same things that we're going through, and we all experience loneliness, we all experience isolation, fear, all of these things. And I think that's so relieving for the audience, Adria, from what I'm reading, because people feel like, you know, oh, so now I realize I'm not really going backwards or in my evolution, yes. Or I'm not really doing it wrong, or... And I love that Raphael said that we aren't alone, we're untethered. I love that. Flying free across the galaxy.
There was a message recently where he said, you haven't lost your way, you've lost your imprisonment, and that's something you need to lose.
Exactly. And sometimes that liberation and that freedom, it's kind of like when you're learning how to swim and you're thrown in the water and it's like, whoa, what do I do in all this water by myself? And it's like, and then you learn to swim, and it's kind of like with this freedom and flying. It can take a minute to learn how to spread those wings and fly and not feel that imprisonment that has been a part of our story for so long. And, gosh, what beautiful messages. A lot of wonderful feedback, Adria, coming in from our listeners. And this is a good question from Monica. She said, are there things that we can do to stay or maintain 5D?
This is Raphael. So again, going back to your intention, there are many techniques that others are teaching that are helpful, certainly. And we do not think that any set of specific parameters or ceremony is needed here. What is needed is your intention. So if you wish to spend more time in fifth dimension, then wish for that. Have that in conscious intention, and that prayer does not need to be stated in any particular way. Just for you to be conscious of it, then your guides certainly will hear it also.
Mm-hmm.
And then you might find those magical things arise, a few words in a book, or someone who comes along in your path and says something to you that shifts you back into that awareness. So once your intention is there, then the ways are shown how to get back there to fifth dimension, if that is your wish.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of simplifying from what I'm hearing with regard to fifth dimensional living. Simplify, and no ceremonies needed, no 10 steps to enlightenment, or 30 or 50, which is a beautiful thing. Okay, I really want to highlight the option and opportunity that people have, Adria, to work with you and have their own private angel conversations with you and the angels. For those of you who are new to the show, our speakers create beautiful special offers for this community, and Adria has created 3 beautiful offers, and you can find it at straighttalkforthesoul.com/marketplace, and you'll see Adria's beautiful picture, and I love it. It's Angel Package A, Angel Package B, Angel Package C. How appropriate, Adria. Offer A is a half-hour session with Adria, and also the bonus CD is The Sounds of the Ancient Ones, which we mentioned earlier, which is a digital download that you'll have access to right away. And Angel Conversations, which is a teleconference and audio webcast. One is a recording and one is live on the 23rd. And Adria, I'll let you step in here in just a second. I'm just going to quickly run through this, and then you can come in with some more detail. Angel Package B is an hour session, plus all the bonuses in A, plus an hour session. And Angel Offer C is all of that plus 3-hour-long sessions with Adria and the angels. So beautiful offerings, Adria. What would you like to add for people who are feeling drawn to say yes to this?
Sure. If you're wondering what an angel session is, you really just experienced it. So with the one-on-one sessions, it starts with your questions. So if there's a question or a particular area of your life, like some work circumstance or whatever it is, it's just puzzling you, and then the angels would speak really specifically to your question. So it's informal like that, question-answer. And I will be a conscious channel for the angels for that call. And the group calls are live calls, similar to this one, where there'd be a group message, and then people can call in or write in questions.
Mm-hmm. The level of serenity from the messages is outstanding. There's so much peace and serenity that flows through, and just the wisdom and the kindness and the sweetness and the love that flows through is beautiful, Adria. And
so
I can sense that you live in this. Like, I feel like you live in this energy, and wow. I'm sure that you have, like you said, you have your moments as well, but beautiful that you get to experience this. Okay, so I'm glancing at, there's so many people who have written in. There was a message in the beginning of the show that I felt really, remember I even mentioned it to you before we went live, and she didn't mention her name, but I feel like her message, Adria, was so vulnerable, and I think a lot of people can relate to it, perhaps parts of it. So I'm going to read part of it here, Adria. And she says, please ask the angels to help me. I've lost the motivation I used to have. I've lost a family member, a child, and a grandchild within several months. I feel overwhelmed. The world just feels so different. I feel alone. I feel sad. And other people have said, oh, maybe it's just your karma. She says, I have no one to talk to. So I eat too much and then I beat myself up. You know, just she's feeling very low. Any feedback or hope for me, she says. I think there's a lot of loss for losing these beings in her life, child and grandchild and another family member. And anyway, she says, I'm sorry I'm unloading. I would just like to know how to find inner peace because I cry a lot. So what can the angels say to this beautiful, beautiful soul?
Yes, this is Raphael. One thing is, please continue to unload. All of you, please continue to cry out those feelings, to let that frustration boil over and out of you. This is a time of great clearing, so allow that unburdening to happen, please. There are in this time, we spoke of free will. There are going to be many souls who choose to leave the planet. So we do not mean catastrophe on a global scale. We mean as you have experienced here in your own life, child and grandchild. These people might be older, the same age, younger than you. It is what we meant when we spoke of do not worry about what your neighbor is choosing. So some people will choose to stay in the third dimensional reality, and you might have this judgment. This is a heavy place to be. Please come to fifth. I feel how much more lighter and free I am over here. I want this for you. It is beautiful to want upliftment for others. At the same time, please allow them their free will. And for some people, third dimension is a better place to learn the lessons they came into this lifetime to learn, to experience the novelty of third dimension and what it has to offer, both in its limitation and its blessing. It is quite a unique place. It is why you have all incarnated here before the change, also to experience yourself the third dimension. So as these Earths drift apart, third and fifth dimensional planes, as so much is coming up to be cleared and lost and let go of, many beings are going to choose that they're done here, they're finished with the Earth experiment, and they'd rather be somewhere that's more carefree, because it is quite an intense place to be right now. So understand that this is not a failing. Some souls choose to come into this lifetime for 2 weeks to experience density, and then to leave again as a soul having learned what that feels like, and then to be released from it. So some souls do not wish to be here for 100 years. They would like to get out now. And that is their choosing. It is their free will. So understand that even if things look like accidents, a car accident or whatever it is, as a soul, these beings and you have chosen the large moment in your life, the death moments, the marriage moments. Those you have chosen before coming into being. So although it looks like an accident, although it looks like life has been ripped from someone, that is not the case. They have chosen to move on to angelic planes of being, seventh dimensional planes of being, a resting place in between lifetimes. So many choices there. We do not all go to the same place upon the exit from this planet. But we do want you to know, specifically and collectively on this call, that if others choose to leave around now, family members, neighbors, friends, bless their choice. Know that they made that choice for themselves for a reason, and let them go. Let them go into their own way of being free. For some, this is too much to process, too much to let go of, and they're not ready yet. And they choose to move at a slower pace, or they choose to jump straight into enlightenment and forget all this nonsense. So it is not a hallmark either of lower vibration or of accidental death. It is a choice. We all have many, many free will choices right now. So please respect the choice of others and know that it is not, for the most part, a negative choice. It is something that their soul, in weighing the options, decided to do.
Mm. Beautiful, beautiful response. And someone else wrote in saying, I'm so glad you read her question because she's experiencing the same thing. It appears she lost her child and felt guilty in his leaving. So grateful for that response, because that was a heightened perspective on loss. For those of us who have lost loved ones and who have moved on from this planet. So I'm grateful that I was guided to that question, and so grateful for the answer. And gosh, we could do this all day.
It seems like time goes so fast, and the angels are talking. Wait, haven't we only been talking for 2 minutes?
Right. Adria, I do want to start wrapping up, though, but I would love to ask the angels for just kind of a closing message, whatever feels appropriate that would be most beneficial and helpful for this beautiful group of beings that is with us, whether it's live or who will listen later.
This is Raphael, Gabriel, and Uriel joining together. We would like to offer a blessing and clearing here. In the purpose of serving your light, many things became heightened for this call, anxieties, fears, griefs, and so forth, for the purpose of clearing them in this moment, these moments together. So we call into your personal sphere, if you have the free will to allow it, angelic light to clear and bless any other heightened emotions, anxieties, fears that were raised for the purpose of clearing out on this call. We call in angelic light to each of you personally in the way you wish to receive it, visual light, felt perception, or just the experience of feeling lighter without the burden of these emotional traumas that you no longer need to carry. We offer these traumas, these griefs, these fears and anxieties up to the light of all, to source light, to be recycled into sparkling new adventures that we will have here together collectively as light beings of light gathered here on this planet, these planes of existence for a reason in this moment, in a very collective experience of moving forward in light.
Thank you for that blessing and that clearing. I hadn't thought about it in that way, about how a lot of this anxiety and these energies have come up for this call in a very purposeful way, Adria. That's fascinating, because I know everybody's feeling it.
Yeah,
in one way or another.
My anxiety was so high before the call. I thought I was just nervous about the call, but I guess it was this. Yeah, this energy just came up to be cleared, so thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, and thank you to the Archangels, Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel. Who else participated in that last blessing? I know
Raphael, Gabriel, and Uriel. Yes.
Mm-hmm. That was beautiful. Oh my goodness, Adria, I am so, so grateful that you are here. This has been an incredibly beautiful call. And I am so happy to welcome you to this community. It feels like homecoming with you. And
thank you.
Yes, I hope that you enjoyed it too.
Yes, such a blessing to be here and to be with all of you listening now and in the future. I really feel your beautiful energy, and it's beautiful to walk this path with you, or fly this no longer a path with you.
I know. I always say walk hand in hand and heart to heart. I have to change that. I'm going to fly, wing and wing, wing to wing. What beautiful messages. Oh, my God. This is one, Adria, to listen to multiple times for our listeners, because there were so many beautiful messages, about freedom and experimenting with this new freedom in the fifth dimension, and and prosperity. And we talked about so many different things. And so, oh my goodness. Thank you again, Adria. I'm feeling so much love here for you. I hope you feel it. It's flowing. Okay, my dear. And I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody who has joined us today. Thank you for the tremendous gift of your light, your presence, your love and time today. If you've joined us by computer, we welcome your comments and feedback. We've already received so much, and I thank you for that. We really do love hearing from you. And allow yourself to listen again and kind of bathe in these beautiful frequencies. Listen again for more insights, more layers available to you. And then remember about the opportunities to work with the angels and have conversations with the angels and Adria in her very, very generous special offers. You can find them in our marketplace at straighttalkforthesoul.com, and then we'll send you more information in your replay email later today. These are really just beautiful opportunities for you to take your healing and your expansion a step or two or 10 or many further, just so you can feel that freedom that we've been talking about today. Okay, everybody, I am sending waves and waves of love and light and joy directly from my heart to yours. May you feel it, receive it, offer it to those you encounter today or tonight, wherever you are in the world. And remember to join us in our Facebook group. Just type in Straight Talk for the Soul. And until next time, as always, please give yourself full permission to shine instead of shrink, express instead of suppress, and own that amazing, powerful glow of yours. I'll see you back here in this playground of light very soon, everybody. Bye-bye.